Good morning and welcome to News at 10 on Rajya Sabha Television. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor. Well, our top story continues to be the Paris attack investigation. Now, a surveillance video shows a possible 9th assailant during Friday's attacks. That will be the big focus. Also, we look at Home Minister Rajnath Singh's visit to China. Let us begin with the headlines. French security officials spot possible 9th attacker in a fresh video of Paris attacks. Still not known if attacker is one of the 2 suspected accomplices detained in Belgium or is on the run. Russian President Vladimir Putin asks his navy in the Mediterranean to work together with France as allies in campaign against Islamic State. This as the French fighter jets continue to pound targets in Syria. Russia calls the crash of its airliner in Egypt last month an act of terror. President Putin vows to find and punish perpetrators of the attack over the Sinai Peninsula. Home Minister Rajnath Singh to begin 5-day visit to China. Cooperation to counter cross-border terror will be among the top agendas, even as Beijing sides with Islamabad, says Pakistan a victim of terrorism. And severe flooding in Tamil Nadu kills 79 people. Navy and Coast Guard also join in rescue operations. Well, the top story, French security officials have spotted a possible 9th attacker in a fresh video on Paris explosions. It is still not clear if the 9th attacker is one of the 2 suspected accomplices who were detained in Belgium or is on the run. Meanwhile, back in the US, pressure is mounting on President Obama as Republicans demanded a tougher response against the Islamic State.
Hunt for Paris attackers is on in full swing. In a video, French security personnel have spotted a 9th attacker, but they are not sure if he is the one of 2 suspected accomplices detained in Belgium or the one who is on the run. France has also released a photograph of a man whom they believe is one of the suicide bombers at the soccer stadium in Paris. They have also found a car with Belgian license plates which they believe might have been used by the Paris attackers. Meanwhile, Germany said that those arrested in Western Germany do not appear to be directly linked to the attacks.
Aber nach dem bisherigen Stand der Dinge scheint es nicht so zu sein, dass es einen engsten Zusammenhang mit den Taten in Paris gibt. Nach wie vor ist es so, dass mindestens ein Täter flüchtig ist.
In the US, clamor is growing for tougher laws to check the IS threat. This comes just a day after Obama continued to stick to his IS strategy. Many US states are still reluctant to take in Syrian migrants.
Our nation has always been welcoming, but we cannot let terrorists take advantage of our compassion. This is a moment where it's better to be safe than to be sorry. So we think the prudent, the responsible thing is to take a pause in this particular aspect of this refugee program in order to verify that terrorists are not trying to infiltrate the refugee population.
UN Chief Ban Ki-moon signed in the condolence book at French Embassy in New York. The EU member states have also agreed to offer military assistance to France in fight against IS.
En ce moment de douleur et de deuil, mes pensées sont avec les familles et les proches des victimes. J'admire beaucoup, Monsieur le Président.
French warplanes continue to pound IS targets in Syria. Meanwhile, another video purportedly showed French Islamic State militants vowing for more violence. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, a fresh breaking news coming in. 2 Air France flights bound for Paris from the United States were diverted due to security threats. Well, the CNN reports that one was diverted to Salt Lake City, Utah after taking off from Los Angeles, while the second left Washington and was diverted to Halifax in Canada. Now, CNN also reports that both the aircrafts have landed safely. Well, we'll keep getting you updates on that story. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin has asked his navy in the Mediterranean to establish contact with its French counterparts and work together as allies in a campaign against the Islamic State group in Syria. Now, Putin instructed his military to work out a joint Russian-French action plan against IS militants as he pushes the idea of establishing a broad anti-IS coalition that would involve both Russia and the West. The Kremlin has said that Putin and Hollande had agreed in phone talks to ramp up cooperation and tackle international terrorism together. The two will further discuss the fight against terrorism in a meeting in Moscow on 26th of November.
В ближайшее время в район ваших действий подойдет французская группа военно-морская во главе с авианосцем. Нужно установить с французами прямой контакт и работать с ними как с союзниками.
Воздушной операции проводится первый массированный авиационный удар по объектам ИГИЛ на территории Сирии. Количество вылетов увеличено в 2 раза.
And in related news coming in from Germany, where a football friendly between Germany and the Netherlands was called off for 2 hours before start on Tuesday after a bomb threat at the Hanover Stadium. The match was to be attended by German Vice-Chancellor Angela Merkel. Well, following the bomb threat, fans were evacuated from the stadium. Both the German and the Dutch teams were put under police protection before being rushed to a secure location. German Interior Minister Thomas de Maizière said that the threat was credible and cancelling the game was the right thing to do. But he did not provide any more details. He also said that no explosives were found and no arrests have been made so far. Remember, the match was due to have been held 4 days after the deadly attacks in Paris. Earlier, Belgium's friendly with Spain in Brussels, which was also scheduled to be played on Tuesday, was called off a day earlier because of security concerns.
Dass die Sicherheitsbehörden des Bundes und ich nach Abwägung der Vor- und Nachteile, nach sorgfältiger Überlegung, aus Gründen des Schutzes der Bevölkerung dringend empfohlen haben, dieses Länderspiel abzusagen.
Now, Russia has finally accepted that an act of terror brought down the Russian A321 airliner in Egypt last month. All 224 people on board, who were mostly Russians, were killed. President Vladimir Putin said that Russia will find and punish those behind the attack over the Sinai Peninsula. He also ordered fresh strikes on Islamic State strongholds after a branch of the IS terrorist group claimed responsibility for the crash.
The Kremlin claiming for the first time that it was indeed a bomb that ripped apart a Russian passenger jet over Egypt last month. At a late-night Kremlin meeting, Alexander Bortnikov, the head of Russia's FSB security service, told a meeting chaired by President Vladimir Putin that traces of foreign-made explosive had been found.
Исследование личных вещей, багажа и частей самолета, потерпевшего крушение в Египте 31 числа. В результате проведенных экспертиз на всех предметах, о которых я сказал.
Russia has promised to hunt down those responsible for the attack and intensify its airstrikes on Islamist militants in Syria.
С варварскими террористическими преступлениями. Чаще всего без всяких видимых причин, внешних или внутренних. Так, как это было со взрывом на вокзале в Волгограде. У наших людей на Синае в числе наиболее кровавых по числу жертв преступлений. И мы не будем вытирать слез с нашей души и сердца.
Putin ordered the Russian Air Force to intensify its airstrikes in Syria in response. He also ordered the country's secret service to hunt down those responsible for blowing up the plane. He said the search for the perpetrators will continue till they are found and punished.
Без срока давности, знать их всех поименно. Мы будем искать их везде, где бы они ни прятались. Мы их найдем в любой точке планеты и покараем.
The airline crash on the 31st of October killed all 224 people on board.
Until Tuesday, Russia played down assertions from the Western countries that a bomb attack was responsible for it. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, back home, the threat of the Islamic State is real and getting closer, claimed Home Minister Rajnath Singh on Tuesday. He warned that India cannot remain immune to its threat, especially after the deadly strikes in France last week. But he has assured that India is keeping a close eye on the terror outfit while asking states to step up vigil.
High casualty Paris terror strike has sent the world into a tizzy. On the home turf, security measures have been heightened. Home Minister Rajnath Singh voiced concern on the impending threat from IS in India. Singh emphasized that the danger of IS did not confine to any particular group of nations and that India has adopted defensive strategy to combat the menace.
IS का खतरा केवल किसी एक देश का खतरा नहीं है, बल्कि एक ग्लोबल एक चैलेंज है और सभी देशों को मिलकर इसका मुकाबला करने की जरूरत है और भारत भी इस संबंध में पूरी तरह से सजग है.
Even as the Paris terror attacks forced the Indian security establishment to upgrade security measures, radicalization and indoctrination of Indian youths by IS have added to India's worries.
Intelligence people should keep an eye out, they should keep a watch on the situation. We should develop a sophisticated de-radicalization strategy in case some young people are affected. Certainly we should do that.
The world has been put on high alert following 13/11 massacre in Paris by IS, which has left 132 dead. Major cities including London, Rome and Washington DC have beefed up security. High alert has been sounded in India too, and elaborate security measures have been put in place at all foreign embassies and consulates. Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, in other news, Home Minister Rajnath Singh will depart for Beijing for a 5-day visit to China today. Singh will hold talks on a host of issues, including combating cross-border terrorism, as the two countries seek to step up security cooperation in the backdrop of Paris attacks. Now, Singh is the first Home Minister to visit China in about a decade. He is scheduled to hold talks with the Chinese officials in Beijing, the first leg of his visit that will also take him to Shanghai, which is China's financial hub. Shivraj Patel was the last Indian Home Minister to visit China in 2005. Singh's visit comes after Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit in the month of May, during which both sides agreed to deepen relations in all aspects while addressing the vexed border issue. Rajnath Singh will hold talks with China's Public Security Minister, who is also the state councillor in the ruling Communist Party of China, which is a rank above the minister. Besides issues relating to terrorism, Singh is also expected to discuss bilateral cooperation between the two sides in curbing the arms supplies to rebel groups in India's northeastern states, as well as the counterfeit currency and smuggling along the borders. Meanwhile, China has once again come out in support of Pakistan and has said that it is a victim of terrorism and that Beijing will continue to support it. Now, Director General of Foreign Affairs Office and China's Ministry of National Defense said, and I quote him now, Pakistan is also a victim of terrorism. In the past few years, Pakistan has been fighting terrorism with a lot of casualties, quote unquote. China also said that Pakistan has in the recent past started a military operation to fight terrorism with positive achievements. Asserting that China opposes terrorism in any form, it also said that the country will work towards a deepening counter-terrorism operation with India. Time for a very short break. We'll be back with more news. Stay with us.
Hottest topics.
If you can facilitate the opening up and the expansion of the international border trade, you can add to the economy.
370 धारा जो है वो जम्मू कश्मीर को मुल्क के साथ जोड़े रखती है.
Candid confessions.
The Congress has not been able to communicate.
We have to revive our links with the masses.
World-class healthcare is available to only a handful of people in this country.
Causing controversies.
A lot of leaders today think that they rule by divine right.
Now, media has become manageable.
Watch RSTV engage personalities to the point. every Wednesday 10 p.m., Thursday 1:30 and 5:30 p.m.
Welcome back. News coming in from Tamil Nadu, where the rescue teams have been working day and night in the state after incessant rainfall over the past 1 week. The Navy and the Coast Guard have also joined the rescue operations. The floods have submerged parts of Tamil Nadu, including its capital, Chennai. Over 7,000 people have been rescued and the toll has reached 79, with 8 more deaths reported from 3 districts of the state. Although there has been some respite really from incessant rainfall, but the Met Department predicts light showers in coming days. Southern Railway has announced cancellation of 15 trains bound for various destinations due to waterlogging on the tracks. Meanwhile, Tamil Nadu Chief Minister J. Jayalalitha has announced 500 crore rupees relief fund for rehabilitation. The heavy rains have also affected Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh as well as neighbouring Sri Lanka.
As far as forecast for next 24 hours is concerned, it is likely to rain at few places in Tamil Nadu and Puducherry. As far as Tiruvallur district is concerned, 1 or 2 places may experience heavy rainfall, and as far as Chennai city is concerned, cloudy with the possibility of shower in some areas.
टोटल 12 टीम चेन्नई रीजन में ताम्बरम में डिप्लॉय है और हम लोग पूरी कोशिश के साथ जो फंसे हुए लोग हैं उसको अपने तकनीकी तरीके से अपने बोट की मदद से अपने लोगों से के जो सक्षम है उनके द्वारा मैं उसको निकाल रहा हूं.
Well, Vishwa Hindu Parishad leader Ashok Singhal, who died in a Gurgaon hospital on Tuesday, will be cremated today. His body will be placed at the VHP office in the national capital for people to pay their last respects. 89-year-old Singhal breathed his last at 2:20 p.m. at a Gurgaon hospital yesterday, where he was admitted for the last 5 days for heart and kidney problems. He was also suffering from breathlessness. Meanwhile, tributes continue to pour in. In a message posted on Twitter, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said the demise of Ashok Singhalji is a deep personal loss. He was an institution in himself whose life was centered around serving the nation. But a number of leaders, including BJP President Amit Shah, Lok Sabha Speaker Sumitra Mahajan, former Deputy Prime Minister L.K. Advani, Union Ministers M. Venkaiah Naidu, Ramvilas Paswan, Anand Kumar and many other dignitaries condoled Singhal's demise. Singhal was at the forefront of the VHP's campaign for a Ram temple at the disputed site in Ayodhya, where the Babri Masjid was demolished on 6th of December 1992.
मानता हूं कि उनके निधन से राष्ट्रवादी विचारधारा की राजनीति करने वालों की के लिए एक बहुत बड़ी क्षति है और मैं उनके प्रति अपनी संवेदना व्यक्त करता हूं और अपनी हार्दिक श्रद्धांजलि अर्पित करता हूं.
बहुत ही निर्मल मन के व्यक्ति थे, बहुत निर्मल मन. कभी भी उनके मन में किसी के प्रति कोई दुर्भावना मैंने नहीं देखी. वो नाराज होते थे, आग्रह करते थे, लेकिन कभी द्वेष भाव से नहीं.
विचारों के अनेक प्रवृत्ति के अनेक स्वभाव के संत महंत मठाधीश शंकराचार्य, इन सबको एकत्रित रखना ये कठिन काम है. वो कठिन काम अशोक सिंघल जी ने समर्थता से किया है. मैं उनकी स्मृति में अभिवादन करता हूं, श्रद्धांजलि अर्पण करता हूं.
And now, companies and individuals who are unable to repay loans to funding agencies can now seek professional help to restructure their finances. And this provision is part of the Union government's draft bankruptcy bill that seeks to avoid conflicts between the creditors and debtors. Take a look.
As part of its efforts to ensure ease of doing business, the Narendra Modi government is proposing a mechanism to protect loss-making companies. The draft Insolvency and Bankruptcy Bill allows companies and individuals to apply for insolvency resolution. It will allow professionals to study and provide solutions to improve a company's finances.
This law, which is being proposed, is trying to put in place a definite time period within which the problem can be looked into, it can be taken care of, and in case there are bad debts realization, then certain tribunals and other courts are being set up to address the issue.
The draft Insolvency and Bankruptcy Bill proposes a 180-day timeline to deal with insolvency and enable winding up of a debt-ridden company. It also has space for an insolvency regulator to regulate insolvency professionals and agencies. A debt recovery tribunal will act as an adjudicating authority for individuals and partnership firms. The bill also proposes information agencies to collate financial information from listed companies and their creditors.
Now, here one thing very important that has come in this is information agencies. Now, they will be tracking all the information of these companies, and they will have a system in place to forewarn, to take steps much earlier than the normal banking system or the bank or the entrepreneurial system takes place.
The government has constituted a bankruptcy law reform committee under former Law Secretary T.K. Vishwanathan to look into various issues related to bankruptcy. Currently, the insolvency issues are dealt by two British-era acts. The government has placed its draft bill on Finance Ministry website for stakeholder consultation till Thursday. This is Rajkamal Rao report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And now a look at what is expected to make news through the day in the day ahead. 5-day summit of ASEAN will begin in Kuala Lumpur today. Summit will see the attendance of leaders from regional bodies, dialogue partner countries, including Prime Minister Narendra Modi, US President Barack Obama, and Chinese Premier Li Keqiang. Malaysia has beefed up its security ahead of the 27th ASEAN summit following terror attacks in Paris last Friday that left 129 people dead. The winter session of Delhi Assembly is set to begin today, for which the state government has lined up 6 bills. Delhi government will introduce 6 bills, including the Code of Criminal Procedure Amendment Bill, Delhi School Education Amendment Bill and Minimum Wages Bill. The second session of the 6th Legislative Assembly will continue till 28th of November. The Calcutta High Court will hear the CBI's cancellation petition for State Transport Minister Madan Mitra's bail today after being postponed. Madan Mitra was arrested last year by the CBI on 12th of December for alleged complicity in the Sarada scam. He was granted bail by a court on 31st of October. And international news, where leaders of 20 APEC member states have arrived in the Philippines' capital Manila to take part in the APEC Economic Leaders Summit. The Philippines is on high alert as the leaders arrived. Police closed off many roads leading to the venue of the meeting, which will be attended by about 20 heads of state or government, including US President Barack Obama, Chinese President Xi Jinping and Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. APEC, which accounts for 60% of the global output and nearly half of the world trade, is aiming for a larger free trade area for its member nations by 2025. Meanwhile, around 150 demonstrators protested on Tuesday afternoon against the APEC summit, ending with scuffles. Riot police scuffled with the demonstrators, who criticized what they said was the APEC's imperialist agenda. The APEC gathering on Wednesday and Thursday comes on the heels of a G20 summit in Turkey, which was dominated by discussions about violence emanating from Syria's civil war. Some more international news and updates in World Wrap. Louisiana Governor Bobby Jindal said on Tuesday that he was suspending his campaign for the Republican nomination for president in 2016. Jindal has consistently polled on the lower end of the pack of Republicans seeking the party's nomination for 2016 election. Louisiana voters will go to the polls on Saturday to pick Jindal's successor as governor. Greece has secured a tentative deal with the Eurozone to unlock the latest tranche of financial aid. The two sides have agreed a batch of reforms that will be presented to the Greek parliament on Thursday. The Eurozone countries insisted on measures before releasing €2 billion in loans and up to €10 billion in support for the banks. The agreement will help pave the way for further payments under the country's third bailout. At least 13 people were killed and over 150 others were injured when a speeding train derailed in Pakistan's Balochistan province on Tuesday. The engine and 9 coaches of Rawalpindi-bound Jafar Express derailed from a track at Abigom area in Bolam district of the province. The train was coming from provincial capital Quetta. The driver of the train and his assistant were among those who were killed in the accident. The Pakistan Railways have launched an investigation into the accident. Yemen's exiled President Mansour Hadi has returned to the southern city of Aden to supervise a new offensive against the rebel-held area of Taiz. Hadi made his first visit to Aden in the month of September, having fled the country 6 months earlier in the face of advances by the Houthi rebels. At least 5,600 people have been killed in the past 8 months of fighting. A Saudi-led Arab coalition launched an air campaign in the month of March, followed by a ground offensive to push back the Houthis and to reinstate Hadi's government. Brazilian mining company Samarco says the 2 dams it uses to hold wastewater from iron production are damaged and are at the risk of collapsing. Now, one of the company's reservoir burst earlier this month, flooding dozens of homes in the southeastern state of Minas Gerais. 11 people were killed then and 12 are still missing, presumed dead. Emergency work to try to avoid another breach will begin immediately. And on to cricket news, and rain and wet ground conditions continue to hold up the second test between India and South Africa in Bangalore. Now, chances of play on the 5th and the final day also seem grim as the drizzle continues. The play was called off for a third successive day without a single ball being bowled on Tuesday as well. 9 sessions have been wasted because of rain. The umpires inspected the ground thrice after a rain-free morning raised some hopes for the play. However, the damp conditions coupled with a steady drizzle did not allow the resumption of proceedings. Remember, India were at 80 for no loss in reply to South Africa's first innings score of 214 on the opening day. Now a look at the latest from the world of sports in SportsBeat. Indian ace shuttler Saina Nehwal has pulled out of the Hong Kong Open event after complaining of severe pain in her legs. India's hopes will now rest on double world championship bronze medalist PV Sindhu, who will face world number 1 and reigning world champion Carolina Marin in her opening match. India's Rohan Bopanna and his doubles partner Florin Mergia booked their place in the semi-final of the ATP World Tour Finals. The Indo-Romanian pair beat Jamie Murray and John Peers in straight sets 6-3, 7-6. The 4th-seeded pair will play their final group game against Italian partnership Simone Bolelli and Fabio Fognini before the semis. Roger Federer ended the top seed Novak Djokovic's 3-year unbeaten run indoors to secure a semi-final place at the ATP World Tour Finals. The Swiss 6-time champion won 7-5, 6-2, ensuring that he will progress from the group stage with 1 match remaining. In another match, Japan's Kei Nishikori remained in contention of reaching the semis after a hard-fought 7-5, 3-6, 6-3 win over Thomas Berdych. Zlatan Ibrahimovic scored twice to help Sweden reach their 5th successive European Championship finals. The second leg match between Sweden and Denmark ended in a 2-all draw, but the Swedes progressed with a 4-3 aggregate score after they won the first leg 2-1. Well, that is the wrap on this news bulletin, but before we go, millions of people across North India fasted, they sang folk songs and offered prayers to the setting sun to celebrate the festival of Chhath on Tuesday. Chhath Puja is associated with faith, purity and devotion to the sun. The festival will conclude today with devotees paying obeisance to the rising sun. So take a look at these visuals as we take your leave. Thanks for watching.